missionaries from Syria went down to what then was referred to as the Kingdom of Aksum, which is in modern-day Ethiopia, and they brought with them a whole host of literature.
Most people think of the Bible as a single, unchanging book, but that's not true. The Ethiopian Bible is a far larger, older collection, and it holds secrets. We're about to explore the terrifying words Jesus spoke after his resurrection, found only in these ancient texts. We're going to pull back the curtain on these hidden gospels. You won't believe the chilling details he gave about dark forces or the warnings he issued about his own followers. The thing is, this isn't just history. It's a message that some believe was meant for us today. The Covenant of the 40 Days. For almost 2,000 years, Christians have been told the same story. Jesus rose from the departed, appeared to his followers, and later went up to heaven. But in Ethiopia, ancient Christian books tell a much deeper and stranger version of that story. It's a version that most people in the West have never ever heard. You see, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has one of the oldest and biggest Bibles in the world. Their collection has 81 books, way more than the 66 books in a standard Protestant Bible. Some of these books were never accepted by the Roman Church. They include writings that talk about what Jesus taught after his resurrection, showing that his message did not end when he left the tomb. These old writings were kept safe for centuries by Ethiopian monks who carefully copied them by hand. They believed these powerful words must never be lost. In these books, Jesus did not just stop teaching after he rose. He shared hidden truths, he gave terrifying warnings, and he helped prepare his followers for what was to come. One of the most important of these books is called the Book of the Covenant, or Mashafi Kedan. It claims to record the things Jesus said to his disciples during the 40 days after his resurrection, but before he went back to heaven. The thing nobody tells you is that the Jesus in this book speaks not just as a teacher, but as the King of heaven and earth. He tells his followers to go into the world and build God's kingdom, but not by using worldly power or conflict. Instead, he says the Holy Spirit will be their true power. He teaches that what happens inside a person's heart is more important than what happens in temples or rituals. But this is where it gets chilling. He also warns that over time, people will twist his words. They will use his name for their own gain. He says there will come a day when people shout his name in the streets, but their hearts will be far away from him. They will build huge, beautiful temples of gold and stone, but forget the real temple, the temple of the human soul. To put it mildly, these warnings sound exactly like the world we live in today. What many overlooked is that these prophecies get incredibly specific. Jesus predicts wars, lies being treated as truth, and families falling apart. He says a great darkness will come when people no longer know his true voice. One powerful line says, "Blessed are those who suffer for my name, not in word, but in silence." It shows a Jesus who walks with people who suffer quietly, the forgotten and unseen ones who still believe deeply in their hearts, not the ones making the most noise. Another book from Ethiopia called the Didaskalia gives practical advice about how to live as true followers. It says people should live simply, fast, pray often, and stay away from corrupt rulers and greedy traitors. Jesus warns against false leaders who look holy on the outside, but in secret devour the houses of the poor. These texts paint a picture of a final, urgent message that was meant to guide humanity. But these warnings were just the beginning. The truly terrifying part was what he showed them next. The apocalypse they left out. While some books focused on covenants, others recorded visions. And these are the ones that are truly terrifying. Many people are crazy about the book of Revelation, but the Ethiopian Bible holds texts that are even more graphic. Among the books and traditions they preserved is the Apocalypse of Peter. While fragments of this book were known, the Ethiopian version is one of the most complete. And what does it contain? It describes Jesus, after his resurrection, taking Peter to a high mountain to show him two things: the glory of the saved and the graphic, horrific torment of the damned. This isn't a simple story of good and bad. The Jesus in this text describes the lower realms with chilling detail. He shows Peter a river of fire and a lake of darkness. But the thing is, the punishments weren't random. They were specific. The text describes that those who twisted justice and took bribes were immersed in a river of fire up to their knees. Those who bore false witness were shown chewing their own tongues in agony. It's a vision so intense, so specific, that it makes Dante's Inferno look like a children's story. Why would Jesus show this to his most beloved disciple? The text suggests it was a warning. It was to show the consequences of the corruption, greed, and hypocrisy that he had just warned them about. He was showing Peter what was at stake. The same texts also include a prophecy about the future of faith. Jesus says that in the last days, his voice will rise again from unexpected places, from deserts, from mountains, and even from the children of those who were enslaved. He says his Spirit will speak through those who are ignored by the powerful. This idea turns the normal image of the church upside down. It means that truth may come not from those in charge, but from the humble and forgotten. In these Ethiopian writings, Jesus talks about angels and he talks about dark entities. He tells people to pray with their whole being, not just with words. Let your body become a living prayer. One text says, let your silence speak louder than sermons. So why did the Western Church reject these writings? The Ethiopians believe there are three main reasons. The first is political control. Rome wanted one clear, simple Bible that could be easily managed. The second is mysticism. The Ethiopian books are full of these visions, angels, and spiritual battles which Western leaders found too strange and, frankly, too hard to control. The third reason is fear. They were afraid that if people heard these teachings, they would seek God directly instead of relying on the church for guidance. These texts claim Jesus stayed on earth for 40 full days, revealing what they call the heavenly scrolls. He taught that every thought builds either a ladder to heaven or a path to darkness. He warned his words would be changed, his image repainted, and his name sold. When we look at how often his name is used today for money or power, those words feel, to put it mildly, absolutely true. These texts show a different picture of Jesus, one that is stronger, deeper, and more personal. But the secrets get even stranger. Waking up from the dream. The old Ethiopian Bible holds teachings that go beyond just warnings and visions. They dive into the very nature of reality, life, and the spirit. It tells a deeper story about creation itself. These writings say that after his resurrection, Jesus shared secret lessons that were never recorded in the common Gospels. In these old books, Jesus teaches that the end of the body is not the end of life. He says the body is like a piece of clothing that wears out, but the spirit keeps living. When the body falls away, the spirit goes back to its true home. What people should fear, he said, is living without the spirit. He called this the end that walks while the heart still beats. It meant a person could be alive on the outside but completely empty on the inside. Many people, he said, lose their connection to the light within them and fill that emptiness with noise, money, and pride. But the most wow part, the detail that changes everything, is a teaching that sounds very much like Gnosticism. Another part of the Ethiopian tradition speaks about two creators and a false world. The thing nobody tells you is that this text suggests not everything was made by the same true source. There was one creator of true light, the Father of all. But there was also another being, a builder of shadows. This being, filled with pride, made a physical world that looked beautiful but was not made of pure spirit. He wanted to rule it and, in his arrogance, called himself the only God. But he was blind to the bigger light above him. Because of this, the world became mixed. Beauty and pain, truth and lies, all tangled together. Jesus says he came into this false material world not just to save souls from misdeeds, but to help them wake up from this false dream. He told his followers that the true light of God still lives inside all things, even inside the darkness. The mission of every soul is to find that hidden spark and bring it back to eternal light. This is a radical idea. It means the world we see might just be a shadow, and our real life is a spiritual battle to remember who we really are. Before Jesus ascended, he gave what the Ethiopian writings called his final prophecy. He said a time would come when love would go away and faith would become only an act. People would worship with their mouths, but not with their hearts. But in that same time, he promised that his spirit would rise again, not in big temples, but inside the calm and the broken. My spirit, he said, will move where religion cannot reach. The proud will not see it, but the broken will. They will know me not through words, but through fire. This fire, the writings explain, is the fire of awakening. It cleans the soul and opens the eyes. It's the moment you realize what's truly important. The heart of all these teachings is simple. The kingdom of God is not somewhere far away. It is inside every single person. The soul itself is the real temple. But how did Ethiopia, of all places, become the guardian of these explosive secrets? How Ethiopia saved the books of the Bible. So why Ethiopia? What makes this one country the keeper of all these hidden teachings? The answer is, to put it mildly, amazing. Ethiopia is one of the oldest and most special countries in the world. It has a long history filled with mystery, faith, and strength. Unlike almost every other African nation, Ethiopia was never colonized. Think about that. While empires rose and fell and other nations had their histories rewritten by conquerors, Ethiopia kept its culture, its language, and its ancient beliefs safe. Many Ethiopians believe they can trace their family line all the way back to Ham, one of Noah's sons. But the connection gets even deeper. According to their national epic, the Kebra Nagast, the Glory of Kings, the Queen of Sheba was an Ethiopian queen. When she visited King Solomon, they had a son named Menelik I. And when Menelik grew up and returned to Ethiopia, the story says he brought the Ark of the Covenant with him. That's right. Millions of Ethiopians believe the Ark, containing the original 10 Commandments, is still in Ethiopia today, guarded in a small chapel in Aksum. This history explains their unique faith. Long before Christianity spread to Europe, Ethiopia already knew the Christian God. Historical records show Christianity was present there as early as the 4th century. A traveler visited in the 6th century AD and wrote that it was already a fully Christian country. Imagine a version of Christianity that never got the updates. While the great churches in Rome and Constantinople were arguing, debating, and editing their beliefs, one church was completely cut off from it all. Because it was isolated and unbothered, the Ethiopian church didn't have to follow the rules. They weren't forced to change. As a result, they kept everything. This is why their Bible is so massive. It has 81 books. For comparison, the standard King James Version has only 66. That's 15 extra missing books. So what are they? They include ancient, explosive Jewish writings that were intentionally left out of almost every other Bible on earth. The most famous are the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. What many have overlooked is that the Book of Enoch is one of the most terrifying texts of all. It's not a story of comfort, it's a report. It describes a group of fallen angels called the Watchers who descended to earth. They saw human women, lusted after them, and mated with them. This forbidden union created a horrifying race of half-breed giants called the Nephilim, who proceeded to devour everything and everyone they could. But it gets worse. The book describes the details of a brutal war in heaven. It explains the origin of dark entities claiming demons are the restless, disembodied spirits of the dead giants. This isn't some obscure fan fiction. The early Western Church actually used this book. They referenced it, they believed it. But as time went on, the story was deemed too strange, too chaotic. The leadership in Rome effectively banned it. Ethiopia, however, just kept it. There's another reason this text remained hidden. The Ethiopian Bible is written in an ancient language called Ge'ez. Today, almost nobody understands it. This impossible language barrier, combined with their protected location in the high mountains, turned Ethiopia into a time capsule. Did the Ethiopian church preserve the true terrifying words of Jesus? Or is this just a mystery we'll never solve? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden stories.